Hi there. My name's Casey Hutchinson, and welcome to my podcast, Belt Friends. I'm the president of Empire Rubber and Supply, and Belt Friends is my podcast where I sit down with leaders in our industry to discuss the intimacies of what we do and selling conveyor belting, and find out a little bit more about them beyond just their business and the work they do. Today I'm grateful to be joined by John Green, Sr., owner of Green Rubber, Kennedy Ag. John, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, usually I'm pretty quick to hand off the conch with this one. Usually I like to have you tell us about yourself and where you grew up, family, education, whatever you were doing before you jumped in this industry.
Well, I was born in Stockton, California in 1942. Went to local high schools and then made an attempt at community college for a couple of years and found out that really was not my forte, and ended up going to work for Delta Rubber Company in 1965. Actually, in 1964, I worked for a summer and decided this wasn't going to be my lifetime endeavor, and went back to school. Tried that again and thought, maybe that Delta Rubber thing wasn't such a bad gig after all, and was with Delta Rubber for 25 years. I started off in the warehouse and then eventually became an outside salesman. And in 1979, they offered me a branch managership at their new store in Salinas, California. Worked there until 1990. And we had a change of ownership and also some major changes in financial gains, and I decided if I was going to take less money, I would take less money on my own. So after that, my wife, my daughter, and I started Green Rubber, and about 6 months later, my son John came on board, and pretty much moved on with a lot of luck and a lot of help from former customers and colleagues and suppliers. I was able to pull it off. So,
wow,
been a nice ride.
Yeah, no kidding. Quite an adventure to jump on.
Yeah, I'll say, especially when you've got a pretty good job and you're making decent money, and to just kind of throw it all out the window and take a little bit of a gamble.
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
Worked out good.
So rewind. I'm familiar with Delta Rubber. Been a while since I've heard that name. Yeah. With Delta Rubber, what intimacies in our industry were you involved in there? I know you worked from the ground up, but
yeah, back then, we were primarily a hose shop. Conveyor belt was something that was kind of on the back burner. We used to buy a lot of remnant belting from BF Goodrich and do a lot of transmission belts. Nothing really into the black belt business until probably 1967, 1968, we decided to buy a slitter and get into the belt business, and moved pretty much into the black belt business on a fairly large basis, but found it was extremely competitive and not very profitable, and dabbled slightly into the lightweight business, and that became my forte when I started Green Rubber. I figured the black belt business, let somebody else have it at low margins, and we'll go into something where we're solving problems and creating new customers and new territory. So it worked out really well.
Well, you're surrounded by solid produce.
Yeah, well, when I left Delta, John came to work for me probably about 6 months later, and the salad industry was just getting off the floor. So we offered our services 24/7, and were able to really find a niche into that area. Starting 7 o'clock in the morning, going home at 7 or 8 in the evening, and doing splices in the evenings and all kinds of fun things. But
yeah, no kidding.
The hard work paid off.
And when you started, were you able to jump into provisions for full service? I mean, there's always cut to fit, paint to match in-house, but were you going out and splicing?
Yeah, we were doing it all. I mean, I had enough background, and John's a smart guy, and he figured it out real quick, and then we brought on Phil Covarrubias. I don't know if you know Phil. He's part of Belt Service, and he worked for us for probably 4 or 5 years, and then he left and went to work for a couple of other people, but now we're reacquainted with the Belt Service people, and it's worked out really well.
Yeah. Well, it takes help like that, some experience, and people who bring a little different something to the table that you didn't have to offer.
I think the thing that intrigued me the most, I had a good relationship with Bill Marker, who was at that time with Burrell Leader. And Bill was very instrumental at helping me, kind of get into the lightweight stuff. And then Dick Farrell, who
Uncle
was
Dick,
with Chempreme, and Dick and I have been friends for probably maybe 45, 50 years. So it's been a long, good relationship.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, Dick's a great guy.
My father can attest to. He goes back to, I think he worked with B.F. Goodrich back in the day.
Your dad did, or Dick?
Dick had, and that's where he had forged that relationship. And
I think when I was with Delta Rubber, gosh, I can't think of all the different guys that were there, but I know Bill Reinheimer, who later became the sales manager at Delta Rubber, was very instrumental in getting us into the black belt business. And then Bill eventually became a sales manager at Delta Rubber, and Dick, I think, was the second to come take his place. And we just had a nice thing, and I just saw Dick a couple of weeks ago. He's no longer with Chempreme, but still involved in the manufacturers.
Oh, he's still got stuff to represent.
Manufacturers rep,
Yes, yeah. Well, and he's been through some health bouts, so I'm really glad to see Dick back in the
he's doing good.
Saddle again. He's good people. Well, so is it always maintained with lightweight for you guys, or did you guys?
We do both, but lightweight is really our strong point. That's been, with the all of the food industry products and problems that they've had in the past. Trying to find, the things that are the best performers in the industry with staying away from bacteria and all the problems that the salad guys have had.
Yeah, the battle against Listeria is real.
Yeah, ongoing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ingenuity that's gone into the lightweight belt.
Yeah, well, it's changed immensely since I started. Before, if it was white, it was food grade, and if it was black, it was, industrial. So
yeah.
It's going to some of these meetings and seeing the changes has been a real eye opener for all of us.
Well, and probably being belt nerds along the way that we've become, it's really refreshing when you see different innovations and things that come along with those belts. And I was very fortunate. Your son and I were on the Flexco Distributor Advisory Council years ago, and that's where I kind of waded in to get to know what you folks do and what capabilities you had. And I actually was fortunate enough to come down to Salinas and have John tour me around, because you not just belting, but you have expanded capabilities of urethane castings.
Yeah, we hired a guy who had his own business, the urethane business, in probably 2010 maybe, I think, and we got into it with very little output. We had to buy an oven and a bead blaster, and that snowballed into about 10 ovens and all these other things. But it's worked out good. It's been a nice little business. We do business with people from the post office to Hershey's to. It's really turned out to be a nice little kind of a offshoot of Green Rubber.
Very much so. I was impressed. I've seen other operations where, shame on me to call them out like this, but I'd refer to as a bucket shop. They could pour the castings and things like that, but if they weren't on their game, depending on where it was in the oven, it wasn't turning out like it should. very clean operation, very very concise recipes and things to follow. That you folks turn out some good product, and you had a lot of machine work too to be able to.
Yeah, when we bought our second building, part of it was a machine shop, and the guy who owned the building before wanted to get rid of all the lathes and all that stuff, and I made him an offer, so we kind of got into the machine end of it, and that gave us access to grinding and cooking and doing all the things that we do in the urethane end of it. So it's worked out extremely well.
Yeah, twofold. Yeah.
Old stuff, but still works well. Some of the older things were as good or better than some of the newer things on the market.
Yeah. Boy, yeah, you never get the money out of them. The value's there in your possession.
Yeah.
Well, also in touring your facility, I was very impressed with you guys are able to do your own high-frequency cleating, V-guiding, things like that. You guys have really sunk your teeth into innovations and evolutions in this industry. Can you speak to some of that?
Yeah, well, we've got John is really the expert at that. I know what it is and I pay for it, but knowing how to work it is...
Well, I wouldn't expect that. I'm guilty of some of that with the things that we have too.
Yeah, we've got 2 high-frequency welders and plan to get into another one. And we do most of that in the Salinas store. The Modesto store is our second largest, and we do, on a smaller scale what they do in Salinas.
Okay. Forgive my ignorance on this. I know the Green family, and I know Green Rubber. Tell me about the Kennedy Ag side of the business. The Kennedy Ag
kind of came, they were a competitor of sorts. They were in the hose business and spray business. And the hose business, we kind of shared markets and customers, and they were having problems growing. They were actually probably grew too fast, and they got into a little bit of a financial bind, and Mark Kennedy and I became friends, and we talked to see what he was interested in doing down the road, and we decided to take them on as a partner, and it's worked out really well for him and certainly well for us. So it's kind of a mixed thing. We do everything from spraying, selling farm equipment, and it's it seems kind of an odd fit, but it works well for the Salinas Valley and the San Joaquin Valley. It's we share a lot of the same customers, and it's just been one more thing that we can add to our pretty much to our repertoire and kind of make us a one-stop shopping company.
Well, and I got to take that in too. It's kind of built your storefront that people are kind of in there shopping for various components that are wearing on them, and
we do tanks, we do safety, we do hose and fittings, conveyor belt, and I think we started off. If somebody wanted something, we'd find it for them, whether we were actually the distributor for that or not. But that opened a lot of doors, and people would say, "Well, just call them, and they'll find it for you." And we found it and worked out good.
That's awesome. Well, it helps to be diverse.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, because not everyone can source everything out there, and if you've had a touch on it, sell them everything you can, right?
Why not?
Well, what's it mean to have all your family involved? I mean, if you have a thriving family, you can certainly develop a good culture in business.
Yeah, I think it's nice. It's a lot of pressure sometimes because I think if you're related, sometimes people think that they get preferential treatment, but that doesn't necessarily hold true with us. My son-in-law, my son, my daughter for a while, my niece, my grandson, they're all involved in one way or another, and it's really worked out to be a nice operation. And then a lot of the employees in both our Salinas and Modesto store have relatives, and they've come on board, so it's may not be blood relation, but they are all pretty much family to us.
Yeah. No, those are good experiences.
Yeah.
If you've built something right,
Yeah.
it's easy to keep drawing in good
And
employees.
most of the, we've been in business 35 years now. I've been doing it for 60,
Okay.
but in the 35 years, I bet I have 80% of the people that started with me still with me. So I've got people that started at day one pretty much and are still going strong. So it's really been a nice place. It's, people I think really enjoy what they're doing, and we try to treat them as fairly as possible and try to make it a very comfortable surroundings for them. So
That speaks
nice,
volumes.
nice when you can do it. Well, I think your company's similar to that. I think Empire has a good name and reputation, and
Well, guilty of the same
Yeah.
draw. It's rewarding. Somebody was saying earlier, see an employee through to the picket fence. That they can grow with you. Start families and
yeah.
get their homes and
That's a lot of responsibility, when you have that much family and that many people pretty much dependent upon, the decisions that you make. Hopefully the decisions that we make are the right ones, and they give us opportunities to grow and bring on more people and get more involved, and all of the things that you really would want to happen. We haven't made too many bad mistakes, I don't think. We get into something and maybe get in over our head a little bit, and then we can figure out a way to either make it go away or make it better. And it seems to be, pretty effective so far.
Well, having that culture helps too, because
Yeah.
you're trying to figure it out, but you got several people on board willing to do the same. That's
Yeah.
rewarding. Well, and I love talking to a fellow distributor. I mean, like you said, Empire. Maybe our name's out there and stuff, but same ideas, same culture, same desires to evolve with things and keep people on board.
Yeah.
Those are wonderful traits.
Yeah. It takes a lot of people, and if you keep your people happy, generally speaking, you see the success. I think that's always been my philosophy. Is I don't want to change anything that doesn't need changing, and try to stay with the same culture and ideas, and try to keep people interested in wanting to move up and learn more, and take a bigger part of ownership.
Yeah. So we touched on family. I've met some of your family. They come to the NIBA convention with you. I'm going to run into them while we're here too. We're here at the convention. You've been involved with NIBA for some time.
Since 1994, I think we joined.
Okay.
So it's been a few years.
Yeah, no kidding. What's that mean to you? Some of the relationships you've garnered in this industry.
Invaluable. We've made contacts throughout the years that have opened doors and brought more things to the company. We've pretty much got a relationship with just about all the major manufacturers, which is nice. We're not limited, but we are very loyal, and when somebody opens a door for us, we try to keep that door open and keep a relationship as strong as we can possibly do it.
Yeah. Well, it helps to have that support too.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I can speak to that as well. Nobody wants to go through problems, but when you're in the trenches together for all the successes, you got to go to battle on the negative stuff
you
too.
Take the good with the bad, and hopefully there's a lot more good than bad, and turn it all into positive energy.
Yeah. Well, and then I've watched your son through this industry. He made it, with the NIBA convention, he made it into committee meetings and to presidency. I'm sure that's been good exposure for your company along the way too.
Yeah, for sure. And John does an amazing job. He has really taken charge. I'm kind of sitting back with my mouth open, wondering how did we get this far and do as well as we're doing. So he's been a amazing asset.
Yeah. Well, he's a good man.
Yeah.
And that didn't fall far from the man that I'm talking to now.
Thank you.
And you've earned the rewards of watching it grow like you can to kind of take an easier step moving forward. So good on you to take it.
Thank you.
All right, John, what's fun when you're not doing this?
Oh gosh, not too much anymore. I think grandkids and enjoying my family. That's probably the most important thing. You know, it's one of these things. I go to work almost every day till noon. Only one day a week I go to Salinas still, and pretty much make sure that everything is going the way it's supposed to be going. But it pretty much runs itself with John in charge. He does as I said, an amazing job, and we've got terrific people that know what they're supposed to do and do it without being told, and so it's kind of fun to sit back and watch and see the growth and all of the rewards that go with growth. So it's been a lot of fun to see things change over the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah. Well, and I've rubbed elbows with people who aren't family from your company that I've enjoyed. You mentioned it. You have a lot of good staff, and Steve Guliak.
Yeah, Steve.
Steve, I'm going to get his last name. Guliak.
Yeah, Steve and I worked together at Delta Rubber.
Oh, no kidding.
When I left Delta Rubber, I tried to talk Steve into coming with me, and he was a little leery of walking away from a pretty decent job, and I think he came to work in 1997. I think he came back on board, so 7 years after I started, and he did a great job as an outside salesman, and now pretty much is the kind of assistant sales manager and purchasing agent. So he's been around a long time and knows how to do just about everything that needs to be done. And he's John's pretty much right-hand man or left-hand man. John and Steve and myself are all lefties, so we consider the left-hand man being the go-to guy.
I'm a lefty too.
All right.
So good to meet another fellow lefty.
Something about left-handed people in the rubber business, maybe.
Boy, I tell you, something different for sure. Well, yeah, I met when John was president in 2013. That was my very first convention, and real rewarding. I just, my father said, "Hey, why don't you go down there and figure it out? Go rub some elbows." And Steve was put in my group for golfing, and we became good buds by the end of it all. And it's been cool that I still get to bump into him.
Well, Steve and Donovan Short, my son-in-law Jim Whitley, Jim Harden, who is my Modesto branch manager, have all been key figures in our growth and success. So there was I could go on and on. Ivan and his brother Sergio Cavello are running the belt shop and do an amazing job for me. They both came on probably in their late teens or maybe early 20s. So Ivan's a 34-year man. I think Sergio's about 30 years, and they've been a very big factor in our success in the belt business.
Literally grown with your company.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm forgetting a number of people that I should probably mention.
Oh, they're out there and they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's fine. With other relationships that you've garnered in this industry, you and I both know Uncle Vernon.
Yeah.
How far back do you go with Vernon?
Well, Vernon was an interesting story. I was with Delta Rubber, and we were doing a big belt job at I think it was Gilroy Foods, and they were doing onion rings for McDonald's on a trial basis. And we sold them some belting that was having some problems. I think we sold them the polyurethane. No, I don't know what. I think the PU was the one that worked, and the one before that didn't work. And Vernon came out from the factory and solved the problems, and so I knew him back in the. I think he was with Leader then. I think that was before the Burrell Leader acquisition or merge or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And, so we've known each other for 45, 50 years, I guess.
Oh, wow.
It's been a long, long haul. And then his son Jimmy is, like my son John, they're taking over where, were kind of fading into the background and doing an amazing job. So
No, it's left in good hands, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah, there's nothing like having somebody that you really trust to kind of take over and finish the dream, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah, I can attest to that. I don't know how far it'll go. My son joined me in my shop over the summer. He's only 16, and I'm not going to apply the pressure to him.
That's what John wanted no part to do with the business. He was going to be a teacher.
Okay.
And I said, gee, why don't you come on board? He said, oh, Dad, I don't want to do this. I've seen what you have had to go through. I don't want any part of it. So I talked him into coming on board at least for the summer. And he worked, then he student taught, I guess, for the next 3 or 4 months. And after that, I said, John, I can offer you $8 an hour if you come to work for me. And he said, well, it's not much, but I'll try it. So that was, I think, 1991.
Oh, wow.
And, he's been there ever since.
Yeah. I know this story of getting duped into it. My old man did that to me in 95, so 30 years later.
Yeah. But it's been very rewarding for me, and I hope for all the other people that are involved. It's been a fun company to work for, and something different every day, which is nice.
Good. Well, it's your baby.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, sorry, I always revert back to, I try to avoid asking crazy questions that I can't answer for myself anymore in these interviews, but what piece of advice have you received that you've clung to over your time?
Well, I think one of the things I got from one of my customers was control your growth, try not to grow too fast, and get to where you can't really contain what you're trying to do. And I think that has been a big factor. We have 8 branches, which is a lot more than I ever dreamed I'd have. I thought maybe we'd have 2.
Yeah.
But that's it. If you find the right people and they buy into your philosophy, it can really work out well for you. So it's worked out really well.
That's a good piece of advice too.
Yeah, I think you don't want to get too big too fast. I think that can be a stranglehold. If you are spread too thin.
Yeah. Well, and then trying to reel in that big fish too fast that could sink the boat.
That's
too.
right.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever given?
Oh gosh. I don't know that I've ever really given any advice that's really made a whole lot of difference, but I think just be honest and be true to yourself and treat your customers as you would like to be treated. Try not to make promises you can't keep, and I think that's probably the one thing that I think we've been able to do and maintain. I think when we tell somebody we're going to do something, we do it, and if we don't, we figure out an alternative way to get to the bottom of whatever we were trying to do.
Yeah. Well, trust is everything, and integrity to boot.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Have you ever been given a nickname that you can't shake?
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe. maybe somebody calls me something that I don't know about.
Maybe it's out there and you don't want to know
about. I'm sure there's probably a couple of people that have got a little name for me.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, what about any guilty pleasures that you might have? Something that, I know we had learned about Vernon some time back. They liked jumping on a tractor and rolling up hay.
I don't do that. I don't think I have any real guilty pleasures, really. I mean, I suppose I do, but I don't feel guilty doing them. So I guess if you don't feel guilty doing them, then it's just a pleasure.
Fair enough. Well, John, thank you for joining me today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'm flattered that you asked me, and really appreciate your time.
It's trust me, it's a reward doing things like this.
Yeah.
I talk to certain vendors and people that you and I do business with in that realm, but I really like being able to sit down with fellow distributors because, we've been in the trenches doing a lot of learning lessons, and where I've been able to do business with you guys, that's been fantastic too. So thank you.
We appreciate everything that you've done with us and for us, and hope to maintain it for many years to come. And hopefully if your son sees this thing, you realize it really isn't a bad gig, and it's been good to me. So
yeah, no, it's been good to we as far as your family too.
Absolutely.
Thank you, John.
All right, thank you.
Well, with that, we've killed nearly a perfectly good hour. I'd like to thank John for joining me. I'd like to thank people for tuning in today. And George had to step out because he's a busy guy at the convention doing photography right now. But I'd like to give a shout out to George Padilla and New Wave Studios for producing this. And we'll keep doing it, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.